FM in Tamale. Coming up this afternoon, Minority Caucus demands immediate halt to ongoing deportation of some West African nationals from the United States of America, pending parliamentary ratification of agreements between Ghana and the U.S. Also this afternoon, Ghana Police Service arrests members of armed robbery syndicate that has been targeting rural banks across several regions in the country.
Of these criminals. I'm delighted to announce that we have successfully dismantled the gang behind all these robberies. So far, we have successfully arrested 10 suspects. 3 other suspects were shot dead in the course of the operation during a shootout with the police.
Later in the bulletin, we tell you why the coalition of unpaid nurses and midwives demonstrate against government for failure to pay them after working for 9 months. Details of these and more in the next 30 minutes. My name is Grace Hammond Agyemang. Many thanks for joining us. Let's begin the bulletin from here. The Ghana Police Service has dismantled a notorious armed robbery syndicate that has been targeting rural banks across several regions in the country. The Inspector General of Police, Christian Tetayonu, made the announcement at a press conference held at the National Police Headquarters in Accra this morning. According to the IGP, the successful operation is a major breakthrough in the service's ongoing crackdown on organized armed robbery groups.
Of these criminals. I'm delighted to announce that we have successfully dismantled the gang behind all these robberies. So far, we have successfully arrested 10 suspects. 3 other suspects were shot dead in the course of the operation during a shootout with the police. We have launched a manhunt for the remaining suspects who are on the run. We will not stop until we get them arrested. We were also able to recover 14 weapons, including AK-47 rifles, pump-action guns, a single-barrel gun, pistols, ammunition, vehicles, mobile phones, among others. I want to take this opportunity to call all members of the public to support the police with information for successful investigation. Let us all be vigilant members of the community and report any suspicious persons or activities to the police. As you may be aware, the service is committed to rewarding credible information shared to support our investigation. In conclusion, I would like to assure you that the police will continue to make life uncomfortable for criminal elements in our society. We will continue to pursue you till you are brought to justice.
The Inspector General of Police, Christian Tetayonu, the head of the Criminal Investigations Department, Lydia Donko, also unveiled the modus operandi of the suspects.
During an identification parade, some of the suspects were positively identified by some victims of the robbery. Additionally, some of the exhibits, including the AK-47 rifles, some of the pump-action guns, and mobile phones, have also been positively identified. Investigation is still ongoing. All the suspects are in custody and will be put before court while efforts are intensified to get those at large arrested. The suspects are Akwesi Ejay, alias Cobra, Ibrahim Al-Hassan, Samuel Apia, alias Akwesi Mugu, Francis Akwa, alias Preman, David Obobi, alias Wasti, Martin Akansina, alias 1 Billion, Nanaya Frimpong, alias Mystical, Kojo Atingao, alias Boga, Samuel Akwesi Jan, Stephen Say, Koku Pepra, alias X5, he is deceased. Bozin is also deceased. Kwabna Owusu Ansa is at large, and 1 Albert also at large. The banks affected are as follows: Adansi Rural Bank in Fomena, was attacked on the 10th of April 2025. The Lower Pra Rural Bank at Takrady in Traban was attacked on 24th April 2025. Asokori Rural Bank in Asokwa was attacked on the 18th of May 2025. Ahafo Kukom Rural Community Bank branch was attacked on the 30th of May 2025. In Wabeja Rural Bank at Ofinso was attacked on the 10th of July 2025. Bosomchi Rural Bank at Sontreso was attacked on the 18th of July 2025. Kakum Rural Bank at Elmina was attacked on 4th August 2025. MRB Bank in Winneba was attacked on the 15th of August 2025.
Head of the Criminal Investigations Department, Lydia Donko, there. Let's speak to my colleague, Joseph Armstrong, who is our man at the police press. Armstrong, if you can hear me, talk to us. Did the IGP give details on how the police managed to track down and arrest the syndicate? Well, we are working the phone to speak to my colleague, Joseph Armstrong, to bring us details on this presser by the police IGP or the police management. What they have been telling us so far is that they have managed to dismantle a notorious arms robbery syndicate that has been targeting rural banks across several regions in the country. Let's move to other stories now, because this morning, the minority in Parliament has condemned the deportation of 11 West African nationals and the subsequent failure by government to bring any agreement Ghana had with the United States of America to Parliament for ratification. The 11 West African nationals deported by the U.S. to Ghana were sent to their home countries over the weekend despite safety concerns, their lawyer told the court in Ghana on Tuesday. The U.S. had deported a total of 14 West African immigrants to Ghana under controversial circumstances. Although Ghanaian authorities earlier said they had all been sent home, the deportees and their lawyers later told the Associated Press that 11 of them were still at a military facility in Ghana. Here's a ranking member on the Foreign Affairs Committee and Member of Parliament for Damongo, Samuel Abu Jinapo, addressing the media today.
Every treaty, agreement, or convention executed by or under the authority of the President must be laid before Parliament for ratification. The framers of our national constitution consider this a safeguard against unilateral commitments that could affect the sovereignty, security, or international standing of Ghana. As far back as 2013, during the first term of this government, the Supreme Court affirmed in the case of Republic versus High Court, NML Capital and Republic of Argentina interested parties, that any international treaty, agreement, or convention that is not ratified by Parliament is of no binding effect in the Republic. It will be recalled that in 2016, this same government, in flagrant disregard of the Constitution and the above Supreme Court decision, entered into an agreement with the United States to receive 2 inmates at the Guantanamo Bay into our country without the requisite parliamentary approval. In seeking to justify its unconstitutional action, the then Attorney General argued that the agreement reached with the United States was not one contemplated under Article 75 because it was not an agreement in quote, a solemn form. And the President of the Republic of Ghana, in agreeing to the transfer of Mahmoud Umar Mohammed bin Atif and Khalid Mohammed Salih Al-Debi to the Republic of Ghana, required the ratification of an act of parliament or a resolution of parliament supported by the votes of more than 1/2 of all the members of parliament, and by virtue of the failure to obtain such ratification, the agreement is unconstitutional, end quote.
Well, let's go back to that earlier story and speak to Joseph Armstrong on that arrest by the Ghana police. Armstrong, if you can hear me now, I was asking what details the IGP shared about how the police managed to track down and arrest the syndicate.
Yeah, so the police has been speaking to us, and then according to them, these robbers, even about 15, only 10 have been apprehended. 3 were shot dead in a gun battle. 1 person currently is is at large, and they are trying to get him so that they make sure that all 15 people who finally apprehended, but as I speak to now, 10 of them currently are in the grips of the police. They were brought to the police headquarters in the police special vehicle that is tagged Maria, and that is what it is. 14 ammunitions or 14 weapons were seized, with about 6 vehicles were also retrieved from these robbers who have operating in about 6 regions, particularly within the Ashanti region and also that of the central and eastern region.
I'm sure. What more has the police been telling you when it comes to plans to tighten security around rural banks going forward? It looks like this has become the target for most of these armed robbery gangs.
So the police says now they are beginning to identify the tricks and techniques used by these armed robbers going about robbing these rural banks. So they've also deployed ways and means to make sure they crack them down, which what has led to the arrest of these 10 people, with 3 of them also being ganged down. So according to the police, they are currently in full control of whatever tactics deployed by these criminals. So they've asked the public to be rest assured that going forward, they are safe. They should go ahead, do their bank transaction without fear or favor, because indeed the Ghana Police Service are on top of their business, and definitely anybody that tries to rob any banks, whether a rural bank or a bank within the central business district, will be arrested. And indeed, they ended by saying, "Armed robbers out there, we are coming after you, so just be on standby."
And we also know that the officers who were in this operation, some of them have been promoted. Do you have details on that? What is this supposed to do for the other officers?
I counted about 12 officers, many of them being junior officers. So those that were chief inspectors have been promoted into the police academy, meaning they are going to be DSPs. Those that are lance corporals are going to be promoted into inspectors, and those that are inspectors are also going to be moved rank ahead of their current position. But then, for security reasons, we were not allowed to film these officers that have been promoted for fear of victimization, or so that the robbers out there will not target them. So basically, that's what happened today. The police administration called on other officers to make sure that when they are given a responsibility, they carry it out diligently, so that at the right time they will be promoted in due course.
Armstrong, thank you for bringing us those details. My colleague Joseph Armstrong updating us on that presser by the Ghana Police Service, indicating that it has dismantled a notorious armed robbery syndicate that has been targeting rural banks across several regions in the country. The assurance from the police is that go about your duties, transact all that you need to do, because the banks and other financial institutions are safe. You're still listening to the media news on 3FM 92.7 with me, Grace Hammond Agyemang. We are back after this break. Stay with us.
Hello, Ghana. It's a new year, and Bills Microcredit is here to support your dreams. If you're not working but want to start a business, don't let money stop you. With just your Ghana card, you can get a loan to turn your ideas into reality. Already running a business? Need more capital? Or are you a salary worker looking for extra funds? Bills offers fast and easy loans with no collateral, no deposit, and no SUSI savings required. Wherever you are, whatever you need, Bills makes it happen. Call Bills Microcredit today. Call 0596 920 833 or 0302 200 390 and get started. Bills is licensed and regulated by the Bank of Ghana. Bills, financing your needs. Terms and conditions apply.
Welcome back. This is the media news on 3FM 92.7. Let's do some other stories now. The Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, has announced an across-the-board adjustment of 1.14% in electricity tariffs effective October 1, 2025. Water tariffs, however, will see no increase, remaining at a 0% increment for the fourth quarter of 2025. The PURC's quarterly review mechanism is designed to track and incorporate movement in key factors that are beyond the control of utility service providers. The Commission stated that the decision to maintain water tariff was based on a careful analysis of the same indicators. The rates for all water customer classes, including residential, non-residential, commercial and industrial, will not change for this quarter. Let's get interactive now, and joining us is Dr. Elvis Chumesi, who is Director of Research and Innovations at the Africa Sustainable Energy Committee. Doc, thank you for joining us. Let's begin with the basics. 1.14% sounds small on paper, but what does that actually mean for the average Ghanaian household in practical terms?
Good day, and thank you for having me, and thank you to your listeners. Yeah, so I think the Africa Sustainable Energy Center, we actually came out talking about the 2 to 5% that was proposed by ECG as outrageous. And we thank the PURC for a careful analysis that have not actually included other variables that would have increased the tariff to that amount. I see the 1.14% as justifiable because of the little. I think the main variable that actually changed the little was the dollar rate. Mainly, aside that, the other variables had come down that ECG actually did not deserve any. I would have even gone for the same thing that was done for the water company, that ECG did not deserve any form of increment this year, especially this time, especially because there are a lot of inefficiencies going on in ECG that have not yet been resolved for them to even deserve any form of increment now.
Doc, the PRC mentioned that the tariff review was influenced by external factors like the exchange rate and inflation. Can you break down how these global or national economic indicators affect electricity pricing?
Yeah, so most of the time, the tariff calculation is done. For us in Ghana, we pay everything in cedis, but most of the gas and others that we buy through VRA and the IPPs mainly are denominated in the dollar. So most of the time when the dollar changes, it also affect the changes. It also affect the tariff that will be calculated. So these variables are key, especially in terms of oil, gas that is bought from the international market. So that's why the dollar mostly affects the tariff rate. But most of the time, the PURC is supposed to be there to cushion Ghanaians, especially when we have a lot of Ghanaians who are paid, who doesn't get a lot of money, especially from the work that they do. We have a lot of hardship going on. And then these people, PRC have actually not looked at how much of the income from these citizens are actually used on electricity bills. All these variables are supposed to be catered for. One of the key things from PRC in terms of tariff approval is first the customers, right? And I believe that from the customer perspective and things that is going on in Ghana now, ECG actually did not deserve any form of increment now.
And Doc, on that same tangent, we saw that Lifeline customers saw a very marginal increase. Would you say this is a good sign when it comes to protecting vulnerable populations?
Yes, I believe that protects the population a lot, because I think ECG was initially suggesting that there could be an increase in that side. But then I believe that we are supposed to protect the marginalized communities and everything. So it is a good one for Ghana. And I believe that we should project on the same trajectory in the coming tariff changes.
Doc, this might be my final one. Interestingly, anytime these tariff adjustments are made, water and electricity go together. But this time, there was no increment in water tariffs, especially at a time where there's also the conversation about how galamsey is affecting the turbidity of water bodies and all. And now we don't see any increment, because we also know ECG made, Ghana Water also made that argument about how galamsey is affecting them. What would you say could have driven this decision? Is it sustainable in the long term? Are we likely to see a major increment in the next adjustment because we didn't have any increment in this one?
Exactly the point. I was actually expecting an increment in the water side as a form of punishment in terms of the illegal mining ongoing. I believe that we should have seen increment in the water tariff, because this is just to serve as a measure for people to know the impact that illegal mining is having on us now. I think we should have looked at that variable, especially this time, instead of even having the percentage increment on ECG. You should have seen that on the water company as a measure for people to know the impact that illegal mining is having on us now. I think that we should have actually have a careful look at that and then show and let the people of Ghana know. Many people are not aware of the impact of the illegal mining on our water bodies now. And we should have seen that reflecting as a way for people to get to know what is actually happening to our rivers and the impact that is having on humanity.
All right, Doc, thank you so much for talking to us. That was Dr. Elvis Chumesi. He is Director of Research and Innovations at the Africa Sustainable Energy Center. And so if you're just tuning in, the news is that the PURC has announced an increment of 1.14% in electricity tariff effective October 1, but water did not see any increment yet. Let's move away from that and go to Tamale, because the coalition of unpaid nurses and midwives Ghana have demonstrated against government for failing to pay them after working for 9 months. They demand the health minister to ensure the immediate release of funds to pay their salary arrears. According to the demonstrators, over 7,000 out of 15,000 nurses and midwives employed by the SBOL MPP government in 2024 are yet to be paid by government. My colleague Christopher Macon is following the demonstration. Joins us on phone. Christopher, what are the demands of these aggrieved nurses?
Yes, so Grace, basically what they are demanding is for the Minister of Finance and the Health Ministry to ensure that their 9 months arrears are paid to them, because according to them, they were successfully employed in 2024 because a portal was opened, which they were able to go through the application successfully. But since they were posted till date, they have not received a peswa of their salaries, and that is affecting productivity. That is also affecting their livelihoods, because they are unable to feed and they are also unable to pay their rent. And so they are demanding that the Ministry of Health and Finance ensures that their monies are paid to them.
Christopher, what will be their next step if the ministry fails to address their concerns?
Yes, so they are saying that this is a regional demonstration that they have held. Their next step will be to picket at the Ministry of Health to drum home their demands for the ministry to ensure that their monies are paid to them.
Christopher Macon is my colleague in the Northern region, updating us on that demonstration by some midwives and nurses over their unpaid salaries. Let's do some other stories now. The government has directed the National Food Buffer Stock Company, NAFCO, to buy surplus grains from farmers across the country following projections of a bumper harvest this year. The Ministry of Food and Agriculture says the move will prevent a glut on the market, reduce post-harvest losses, and build up reserves for future emergencies. Farmers have been assured of a ready market as NAFCO steps in to stabilize prices and secure food supplies. This intervention comes after farmers raised concerns that the sector is on the brink of crisis, with several thousand metric tons of maize and rice from last year still unsold. Some of them called into TV3 New Day to complain about the situation.
The main issue actually has affected up north. You see, fertilizer is high, and it is going as low as 400, 500 Ghana. Meanwhile, we take about 2 bags of fertilizer, which costs total of about 1,010 to get 1 bag of maize. It costs just 500 Ghana cedis. You see the difference in the prices. You see, the farmer stands to lose about 500 Ghana, not even make a gain.
How can you have maize to sell it about 250 cities, 300 cities, which you were selling about 1,200 or 1,000 cities? Today you have to sell it about 250 cities, and there is nobody buying it. How can you survive as a farmer? Please, the farming communities, we are dying. We are dying. We can't do anything again in maize because of the drought. This year, last year's maize is what we are getting this year. So all of a sudden, we are talking about so much maize that we have. Where did the maize come from? I'm a farmer myself, and I'm facing the same situation that we have. We bought fertilizers at a higher price. This year, we couldn't farm the farming we are supposed to do. So where did they get the maize they are talking about, that their excess maize that Papa saw must now absorb? We are not getting the money that we even invested in the farms last year to even do the same this year. So I'm even surprised how we have even harvested our maize this year.
Well, some farmers there who called into the morning show on TV3 to complain about a possible glut there. To other stories now, studies conducted in 6 regions by the Environmental Protection Authority, EPA, have identified mercury contamination in some water bodies as high as 500 times, whilst many foods in mining areas have heavy metals in them, including contumely and tomatoes. This is contained in a report issued by the UK-based NGO Black Earth and the EPA. There's more in this report.
A concerning picture, one that demands urgent attention and coordinated action. I believe we all know this already, the impact of these heavy metals. We found shockingly elevated levels of toxins in numerous locations in soil samples. In some places, mercury concentration exceeded global guidelines or thresholds by over 500%. Wow. Water sources are contaminated with dangerous levels of arsenic and lead. And alarmingly, we are finding these heavy metals in the food we eat. Vegetables like contumely, pumpkin leaves show mercury and arsenic levels above the safety limit set by international health organizations. We've also discovered some of these heavy metals in the fish.
You heard an executive from the Environmental Protection Agency, EPA, talking about the high levels of mercury contamination in some water bodies and also in some food items, especially contumely and tomatoes, in areas where there's mining activity. And this is sending a caution to all of us that we need to tackle the devastating effect of galamsey on the environment as early as possible to avert any further damages. But that will be all by way of the midday news on 3FM 92.7, which came to you live from our studios here at Adesawe, Kanda, Accra. Before we go, a quick look at the stories that came through as headlines. Minority Caucus demands immediate halt to ongoing deportation of some West African nationals from the United States of America, pending parliamentary ratification of agreements between Ghana and the U.S. Ghana Police Service arrests members of armed robbery syndicate that has been targeting rural banks across several regions in the country. And coalition of unpaid nurses and midwives demonstrate against government for failure to pay them after working for 9 months. Many thanks for joining us. My name is Grace Hammond Agyemang. Log on to 3news.com and get some more stories. Good afternoon.
Accra gets busy on this frequency. 92.7 3FM.
3 FM. Follow us on social media. Twitter at 3FM927. Facebook at 3FM927. And also on 3news.com.
Greetings in the name of His Majesty Emperor Haile Selassie I. Rastafari.
It has always been begin a journey of Pan-Africanism and consciousness. It is your regular taxi driver with the urban blend and 3FM 92.7 in living stereo every day, Monday to Friday, from 12:30 p.m. till 3 p.m. This is the show everybody listens to, so your business will certainly do well here. My name, Black Rasta. I am the rootical, hairtical, Don Gargan, Muafaya.
Reading, come forward. Atinga ya chika fankare, Azure ya chika fankare, Abama ta chika fankare.
3 FM.
Hello there, good afternoon. Welcome to Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7 with me, Michael Obodu. Coming up, as Public Utilities Regulatory Commission, PURC, announces another increase in electricity tariffs, the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAC, says the 24-hour economy policy will fail if government does not tackle the issue of high cost of electricity in the country. Also coming up, ECOWAS set to review its levy in the coming days as member countries gather in Accra on deliberations. Details of these and many other stories coming up shortly. Please stay. And thank you so much for your time. Now we'll bring you some stories, and the ECOWAS community levy is likely to be adjusted upwards as member states, including Ghana, begin reviewing their regional tax mechanism in response to declining revenues and the need to bolster regional financing. The levy, which imposes a 0.5% charge on goods imported from non-ECOWAS countries, has been in place for over 18 years. However, it now faces growing challenges around compliance and operational efficiency. Speaking at a meeting in Accra to approve draft regulations for the ECOWAS Community Levy Operational Manual, Dr. Robert Moikoa, representative of the chairman of the ECOWAS Administration and Finance Committee, said the time was right to reassess the levy to ensure the long-term sustainability of ECOWAS programs.
Without doubt, the levy remains the largest source of funding for all ECOWAS programs and activities. This justifies the reason of our efforts to ensure its sustainability. Ladies and gentlemen, I wish to therefore appreciate the management of ECOWAS for championing and delivering on the Council approval for the development of an operational manual that is aimed at providing guidance and clarity on the smooth implementation of the ECOWAS Community Levy Supplementary Act. Your Excellencies, distinguished ladies and gentlemen, you will agree with me that this consultation today, this validation exercise here today, goes beyond the primary objective of the validation of the operational manual.
So that was Robert Moikoa. He is representative of the chairman of the ECOWAS Administration and Finance Committee. Now, industry players say Ghanaians must begin to view insurance as a vital component for their financing plan especially when acquiring property. The call follows a recent report indicating that over 11 million Ghanaians will require some form of financial assistance to afford a home. Speaking to 3 Business on the sidelines of Media General's National Thought Leadership Forum held on Tuesday, themed Blueprints to Break, Making Affordable Housing Work, Managing Director of Sanlam Alliance Insurance, Mabel Pobley, emphasized that insurance plays a critical role in mitigating risks associated with such a major capital investment.
So insurance is important for everything. Like we call it, it's financial planning. And when you are planning anything, you also want to look at the risk management part of it. And that's where insurance will come in. So when we talk about affordable housing, already it's affordable. You're looking for, funds to get the construction in place. And so how do you protect the funds? How do you protect the construction? That's where we will come in with what we call contractors all risk, where we cover the whole construction phase so that should anything happen, you don't need to go look for additional capital to ensure that the project finishes. And then when the houses are done and people now own the houses, they can take what we call either home insurance or content insurance. And home insurance basically means that you've basically put capital to owning the home. You must cover it. It's really unfortunate how people have spent so much money to buy houses and yet they don't take any insurance cover for it. So in the event that something happens, your capital is gone, your livelihood is gone. When you take insurance, at least you know that you're covered and you can go back to the insurance company to get the capital to either rebuild the house or to get a new house.
So that was Managing Director of Sanlam Alliance Insurance, Mabel Pobley, speaking there. Now, the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana, FABAC, says government's effort at promoting local production through its 24-hour economy policy will fail if efforts are not made to address the rising cost of electricity in the country. This follows the announcement by the Public Utility Regulatory Commission, PURC, of about 1% increase in electricity tariffs. By speaking to 3 Business, Chairman of FABAC, Reverend John Awuni, says no amount of tariff adjustments can address the issue of efficiency in the Electricity Company of Ghana, ECG.
The ECG efficient, and therefore that can make economic development meaningful in this country, because at the end of the day, electricity is the lifeblood of every production system. And if the amount of tariffs we are already paying in the business sector and even household is very, very, very high and cannot leave room for any development and cannot leave room for any prices of goods to be low. So we find it very unacceptable for any increment without efficiency. And the roadmap is very clear. Efficiency first before tariff increment. And when we talk about efficiency, we are talking about the removal of the waste in the ECG system. You cannot be dealing with an institution that has an average recovery, average revenue recovery rate of about 43%. A revenue recovery rate that is below 50%. And you will talk about a tariff increment that will make them efficient. The simple thing that PURC needs to do is to tell them to go and improve upon their revenue collection rate.
You heard there Reverend John Awuni. He is the chairman of the Food and Beverages Association of Ghana. Now, before we leave you, the Chamber of Petroleum Consumers Ghana, COPEC, has praised oil marketing companies for choosing to absorb a portion of the projected cost increases, providing relief to consumers. According to Head of Research at COPEC, Paul Eric Ofori, the Chamber had predicted a significant increase in fuel prices for the current pricing window. Their projections indicated a 4% rise for petrol, a 9.4% surge for diesel, and a 7.5% increase for LPG. However, the OMCs did not pass on the full cost, leading to a smaller a smaller price hike than expected. And that'll be all for today's edition of Business Daily here on 3FM 92.7. For more business stories, please visit our website, s3news.com/business. I am Michael Obodu. Thank you for listening. As always, please stay safe.